where they believe they are possessed by entities.
But I didn't just read that in the CIA document.
And I got to say, you kind of looked the part.
Well, I had begun to research Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones at Yale. Bohemian Grove is where they all get together.
And the beginning of the cremation of care ceremony. First off, I wanted to draw your attention to the...
In July of 2000, Alex Jones snuck into Bohemian Grove, a private retreat in Monte Rio, California, and he filmed what's known as the cremation of care ceremony.
Suddenly, all around the owl, activity began.
Which would pursue us here, has lost its power under these friendly trees.
The footage, which showed powerful political and business figures gathered before this massive, 40-foot owl statue in a theatrical ritual that most Americans have never even heard of. And at the time, the response wasn't this serious debate, it was ridicule. See, for years, Alex Jones became synonymous with chaos, the loud conspiracy guy, the meme machine, the gay frog soundbite, chaotic but hilarious rants in general. But here's the question I want to investigate. Not whether he was right about everything, because he wasn't, but whether we were too quick to dismiss the conversation entirely. This is a small investigation into whether the cultural reaction to Alex Jones blinded us to the structural issues he was shouting about from the rooftops for decades. So before the memes, before the lawsuits, before the deplatforming, Alex Jones's central thesis was always pretty consistent. Concentrated and centralized powers operating behind closed doors distorts democracy. That's the underpin to everything else. He talked about elite networking circles, expanding government surveillance, institutional insulation from accountability. Say that 5 times fast. Now, tone matters, okay? Because yes, his delivery was intense and emotional and chaotic and over the top and pretty theatrical.
Give it all to me, come on. Then I really like Alex Jones. He's a really good guy. He's a little bit funny guy. Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. Move, bitch. Get out the way.
So that made him very easy to be a caricature and ultimately to be dismissed, at least to the mainstream's eyes. But if you strip away those theatrics, what were the underlying topics? Let's look at a few of them one by one. Let's go back to the Bohemian Grove. So Bohemian Grove was founded in 1878. Its memberships has included U.S. presidents like Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, major CEOs, cabinet members, and policy advisors. It is real, it is private, and it hosts off-the-record gatherings of influential figures. Now, mind you, Bohemian Grove is closed to the public 365 days a year until the end of time, basically. But Jones's footage didn't prove global domination necessarily. It proved access, which infers a global domination network, but at the very least, it's kind of like that George Carlin saying, he said it's like a giant club and we weren't invited. That's what the Bohemian Grove is. A secret society behind closed doors that kind of pulls the strings of the world while we are the puppets. Then there's the Bilderberg Group. Founded in 1954, it's an annual invitation-only conference bringing together roughly 120 to 150 political leaders, central bankers, corporate execs, and media figures from Europe and North America. And there could be more from other parts of the world like Asia or something, but I don't know that personally and I can't say that definitively. But attendees include people like US presidents and presidential candidates, NATO officials, tech CEOs, and central bank governors. And meetings operate under the Chatham House rule, so discussions can be referenced, but participants cannot be quoted directly. So there's no verified evidence that Bilderberg secretly runs the world. But again, we can infer or even speculate that as to what these powerful people would be talking about. The existence of a private forum where powerful people meet off record isn't fiction. For years, when Jones talked about these gatherings, their reaction was just mocking him. It was mockery. Today, mainstream outlets openly report on attendee lists. That's a shift. Proof that the topic wasn't imaginary. People thought Alex Jones was just making this stuff up. Now, in the early 2000s, Jones repeatedly warned that the post 9/11 legislation would permanently expand federal surveillance power. In 2001, the Patriot Act was passed. And even though I was like a young teenager, I thought the Patriot Act was a good thing. They made it sound like they would be protecting us, right? And then in 2013, Edward Snowden leaked classified NSA documents revealing programs like PRISM, which collects data from major tech companies, bulk telephone metadata collection under Section 215, upstream internet traffic monitoring. So the government defended these programs as counterterrorism tools.
Was revealed.
The best way to understand PRISM, because there's been a little bit of controversy, is to first talk about what PRISM isn't. Much of the debate in the US has been about metadata. They've said it's just metadata, and they're talking about a specific legal authority called Section 215 of the Patriot Act. That allows sort of warrantless wiretapping, mass surveillance of the entire country's sort of phone records, things like that.
Civil liberty advocates, which Alex Jones is, argued they represented unprecedented domestic surveillance.
I didn't say you were bad. The engineer telling me this wasn't bad 5 years ago. How do you know they did that? Well, we track everything you do and build psychological algorithms and sell the data. Information Week, off TiVo's press release, chip in the body to watch TV. I'm sick of it!
Again, this does not mean that every warning Jones issued was accurate, but suspicion of surveillance expansion was not pure delusion. He was right all along, and he was over the target all these years. The infrastructure for mass data collection existed, and it was real. Then came Jeffrey Epstein. In 2008, he secured a controversial plea deal in Florida that granted federal immunity to potential co-conspirators. And that deal later became the subject of a lot of national scrutiny. In 2019, he was arrested on federal sex trafficking charges. Flight logs and court documents revealed documented associations with, again, financiers, academics, politicians from multiple administrations and international royalty. Kind of sounds like Bohemian Grove. Kind of sounds like the Bilderberg Group, right? That's not an internet rumor anymore. That's court record. Now, this doesn't prove a unified global cabal. That's for you guys to argue in the comments. But I do see a pattern emerging. And it does demonstrate that wealth and influence can create powerful insulation. Basically, money and position buy you immunity. For years, when Jones talked about elite protection networks, most people just dismissed the entire premise outright without even hearing him out. Alex is just being Alex. He's a nutcase, so on and so forth.
And this is where we get tested. So rejoice to God Almighty. You know what? I will go to hell before I sit here and I watch this country and the world turned over to these savages. I'm done, I'm pissed, and I'm not putting up with it anymore. You Satanists want to sacrifice the West. You want to kill the beautiful goddess.
But after Epstein, the public conversation changed dramatically. Suddenly, questioning elite accountability wasn't fringe, it was front page news. And now, this part matters. Alex Jones made claims about Sandy Hook that the courts determined were false and defamatory. He was ordered to pay significant damages, and he has apologized and said that he was wrong about the whole thing. I think that's very important to address. He's promoted theories about staged events and global plots that lacked verifiable evidence. That can't be ignored either. A serious reassessment requires separating documented structural concerns from unsupported extrapolations, you could say. If you blend the two together, the credibility of the whole argument kind of collapses. Maybe at some point, concrete facts will come out to exonerate Alex in some of these cases or support his claims. But right now, I haven't found any yet. Also, a funny side note, the gay frogs meme, that thing was real. All right, it's an herbicide, a powerful herbicide. and powerful estrogenic chemical that can turn frogs from male to female. So they're not literally gay, but you know what I mean? And the chemical is atrazine. And atrazine, just real quick, while I have it here, exposure during the larval development can demasculize frogs, reduce male traits, smaller voice boxes and larynges, and lower testosterone levels. Hermaphroditism, which a male frog can have both ovaries and testes, in some cases complete feminization or sex reversal, so male to female. So I just want to put that out there with Alex because sometimes it can be hard to separate fact from exaggeration and legit claims from extrapolations and speculations. But with the gay frogs thing, he was kind of on the money. Now, over the last 2 decades, trust in institutions has declined. Gallup polling has shown historically low confidence in Congress, major media institutions, and large corporations. And when institutional trust erodes, outsider voices gain traction. Jones's core argument that concentrated power operates with limited to no transparency and no accountability resonates more in a climate of skepticism. Because, distrust of institution is no longer this niche idea. It's mainstream. It's default. Distrust has become the de facto position toward institution. So here's where I land. We don't owe Alex Jones an apology for everything he said, in the sense that he was right about every single thing, but we do owe him an apology for dismissing every conversation he raised as just gibberish and insanity and ranting, because I think that is insane. Because a lot of the structural issues he focused on, elite private network surveillance and institutional installation by the perverted peoples of the elite, and I say perverted because that is the PG way of describing these people, these things were not imaginary. They were exaggerated at times. They were dramatized for effect with his theatrical approach to storytelling, but they weren't fabricated out of thin air. And when you ignore the signal just because the messenger is loud, you risk missing the substance. You're not just shooting the messenger, you're basically burning the messenger along with the message. That's the uncomfortable and unfortunate part. So maybe the real question isn't, was Alex Jones right about everything? Because he wasn't. That's objectively true. The question is, did we dismiss structural and societal concerns way too quickly because they were delivered by someone that was easy to mock? Now I want to hear from you in the comments. Is this a genuine cultural reassessment of one Alex Jones, the one and only, or just another cycle of controversy that kind of just repeats itself all the time with him? Because how we answer that question, I think it says more about us as a society than it does about Alex Jones. Let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an amazing day, and God bless.
They have sexual rituals, some of the most ancient Egyptian rituals, where they believe they are possessed by entities, basically space aliens.